So the next thing that we're going to do, because this is a performance-based training, is we're going to put you to work a little bit and do a practice activity for you. So to reinforce some of these concepts that we've been discussing. So I'm going to go through you're going to kind of have to follow me here because there's a couple steps to the process. I'm going to take you to Podio and show you where that is. Now, most of you had access to Podio before today, so hopefully you've already know how to get in there. I'm going to assign you a teaching plan. So you're going to access the teaching plan that you're assigned to. And then what I want you to do, you're going to have 10 minutes to do this. So it's not a ton of time. You're not going to be able to read every word in the teaching plan, but I want you to look at how the activities are set up, look for that pattern of the learning cycle, and start to see how that's fitting in that particular, whatever the lesson is that you're looking at. So I want you to start to locate activities that are in each phase of the learning cycle. Then we're going to go to another Padlet. This is called the Learning Cycle Padlet. This one's going to look a little different because I have 4 columns on it, one for each aspect of the learning cycle. So once you've actually studied your teaching plan a little bit, you feel like you see the patterns and you get a sense of the kinds of activities that are in there, I'd like you to pick one example for each phase that you will post in the Padlet under the appropriate learning cycle. I'm going to show you what that looks like in a second, but so you'll be studying your teaching plan and then go to Padlet, post an example. Now, some of these activities are a couple sentences long. Try to summarize. If it's a worksheet about financial planning, or you can summarize in a couple of words or a sentence if you can. So we want to start to see what kinds of activities you're finding in your learning plans, and then we'll do a little bit of a debrief about how those activities relate to the competencies for your lesson. I want to take you to Podio and show you how you're going to access these materials. So when you get into Podio, you want to be in the Land Access Trainer workspace. Then you want to go to, is that right? No, LAT Curriculum for Trainers. Then you want to go to the book view. And then you'll see it's structured by folders. Let's say you were assigned to LP5. You open that folder. Your teaching plan is right there. And you can just open it up right on your screen. Okay, scroll your way through it, get sort of familiar. What are some of the things that you notice? Let's look at the motivation activities first as you kind of scroll through this. Do you see some kind of commonality of the kinds of things that we're doing in the motivation thing? What are some things that you noticed or ideas that you had as you looked at these? Well, generally speaking, what you're going to find is that the idea is to introduce the topic and to somehow get them engaged right from the very beginning. Most of the time, you'll see suggestions to do things in, pairs or groups or something like that, so that you're kind of getting them off the ground running. One of the things that I mentioned early on is that there's the trainer manual, and I don't know if you've spent time looking through that yet today. But one of the things that you'll find a little farther back in the trainer manual, I think it starts on page 10. Is there are some activity ideas, all right, motivation activity ideas and other kinds of engagement activities that you might want to become familiar with, because you might decide that you want to do something a little differently than what we've proposed in here. So there's lots of ideas for you. You can kind of adapt them or mix and match. Depending on your time, sometimes those are things that can take longer, or you can make them go a little bit shorter, but you want to kick it off with something that gets people involved and sort of sets the stage for where you're going. In the comprehension phase, for the most part, what you're going to find is sort of like presentation discussion as well as information sheet types of things. So you can see this throughout the curriculum. Okay, so as a facilitator or a trainer, what you're going to want to do is think that through. How are you going to facilitate that discussion as you're doing your presentations and as part of that comprehension phase? In the practice activity part, I think is probably where you really start to see more variety, because those practice activities are really keyed in on aspects of the competency and ways that students would actually engage with that content. So you have things like a goals worksheet, you know, the balance sheet in your financial planning and things like that. So those practice activities become a lot more targeted. And the same with the application activities. And we've kind of talked about that. The idea is that they walk out the door with something useful that really captures what they've learned in the training session.